All right, we are back on the Visionary Mindset podcast. This is episode 13. Today we are here with Leticia Hernandez. She is a mortgage loan officer in the industry here in Sacramento, California. So we're going to ask her a little bit more about her journey, how she transitioned into real estate, and just how things are going so far. So why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Leticia Hernandez. I am a local mortgage broker here in Sacramento, California, and all of California, really. And I work with Reliant Lending. So they're a local mortgage brokerage here in Sacramento. And Loans with Letty is my team. So
tell us a little bit more about your journey into real estate. So what were you doing before? How did you get into the industry? Did you, was there a mutual connection, or, what was that like?
So I feel like so many people ask me this question, and it wasn't, mortgage broker wasn't really something I had in my mind to be when I grew up, and I kind of just fell into it. But I was always in sales. So previous to mortgage, I worked for Verizon telesales. I was a supervisor for a sales team. And previous to that, I was in property management. So it was always kind of sales based. And I honestly didn't really know what I wanted to do. I went to school for marketing, didn't finish. So I always loved the marketing aspect. I knew I wanted to be a business owner. So mortgage was just kind of an idea a family member kind of put in my head, did my classes.
What year was that? When did you make the transition?
So I started studying for my license in 2019. And going into 2020, when all of the COVID situation was happening, you can easily, this is so bad, I shouldn't say this, but with Verizon, you can literally just tell them you tested positive for COVID. And even if you worked from home, they would give you paid, like, complete commission, everything for about a month and a half. So you would just you do nothing for a month and a half. So I took that month and a half to study for my mortgage license, pass the test.
So did you test positive?
No. So I had tested positive at one point, and I had a doctor's note for it. Yeah. And then when I needed to really crunch down and study for the mortgage license, I just photoshopped the date. And off I went.
So are you with the Chris Kennedy team with Reliant Lending now?
Yes.
And so how did you get with that team?
So I started with a direct lender. So it was kind of more of a banking structure out in Roseville, and I wasn't a huge fan of it. And actually someone I was friends with, he was a real estate agent. I went to Sac State, so just mutual friends. He saw that I passed my mortgage exam. I speak fluent Spanish. I'm bilingual. So he asked me to go get breakfast with him and his lender, because the industry in general was in need of a good Spanish-speaking loan officer. But it turned out well, and then he is still my mentor to this day. And
how is it being like in the industry, being bilingual? Are you getting a lot of clients that it's coming in handy?
Yeah, I would say about 80 to 90% of my clientele are Spanish-speaking, or they're bilingual. So it's super, super beneficial for me that I do speak Spanish.
Yeah. So for, your marketing background and going to school for marketing, how has that played into, what you're doing now? You guys are here renting our studio and producing content. How important is that for you and your business growth right now?
It's super important. We actually used to film just out of our office. We kind of tried to set up our own space, and it was so janky and just terrible lighting. So I love marketing, and I would always see these kind of podcast style videos. And funny enough, when I got into the industry, I always kind of had this fake it till you make it mindset. You really have to kind of look like you know what you're doing. Right. And I just dove so deep into social media and marketing that honestly, that is how I kind of built my business, which is so crazy, because I get so much business from social media now.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it's the way of the future right now. So in mortgage, and just on that side, we've had real estate agents in here and stuff, and it all kind of plays into the same role. But what struggles are you seeing, with your business and your clients? Like, what are you seeing right now and going into 2025? And, how do you kind of navigate that and advise your clients?
I would say this past month in general has been a little bit slower, which is kind of strange, especially since like interest rates, everyone's heard that they've taken, they've taken a huge dip. But a lot of people are kind of holding off for, I guess, election time.
Yeah. Yep. And holidays are coming up.
Yeah. And holidays, which I don't know if that's the best idea, to be honest. It's like interest rates are down right now. You know, you kind of have a bigger leeway as far as like negotiations and all of that. Right. So I do think that a lot of the people who are waiting, they're maybe going to regret it just because everyone and their moms are going to flock to go buy houses. Yeah. Rates are going to be down, prices are going to be up. But that's kind of the biggest struggle right now. Yeah.
John and I, we've had a few people recently that have reached out to us about getting new photos taken or new media, because, they think, maybe we need to revamp our marketing and stuff. But a lot of times it's a price. We were saying that some of these prices are it's more of a buyer's market right now. And you got to be a little bit more flexible on the price and people where they're at and meet them where the market's at right now. So is that kind of what you're seeing as well?
Yeah. I mean, in terms of negotiations, I would say buyers definitely have like the upper hand right now. My sister, for example, I'm helping her. She just got into contract on a house. We got her a great credit, not super high over list price either. But it is supposed to be a seller's market, which is interesting. But I kind of see some houses just sitting. Yeah. So it's like buyers are picky right now.
Yes. Yeah. Can you share a horror story and then also a story that was super impactful working in mortgage with your clients?
Yeah, I mean, horror story. I have had deals where I actually had a deal where the buyer was in Stockton and they just picked their own agent just randomly. I had no idea who the agent was. And it was just very, very difficult communicating. There was a lot of repairs to be done too. And both of the agents just were not answering me at all. I ended up paying out of my own pocket for some of the repairs because I felt so bad for my buyer. He moved here from, I think, El Salvador, and he wanted the house. He was pretty much banking on it. He was getting kicked out of his home with his daughter, so he really, really needed it. And I just found like a contractor, and I was like, hey, I need this, and this fixed. Yeah, I paid it out of my own pocket. Never got a thank you from the agents. Wow. So things like that happen all the time. And, I'm fortunate enough for me, I have the means to be able to help. It's kind of a double-edged sword though, but it's really impactful. So it's like horror stories in one sense, but it's really, really fulfilling in the other.
Did it end up working out okay?
Yeah, so they ended up closing. I always get buyers like at signing day or when I bring them their gift, they'll start crying and they'll get super emotional. Yeah. So it's like those kind of things are the reason why, I love the industry and why I stay in it.
Yeah, that's a few people have shared that, some of their impactful stories is people that certain situation, they never thought that they would own a home. Whatever that situation may be, they never thought that it would happen. And then, just educating them and guiding them through it and being that helpful hand, they made it happen.
And I'm first generation too. So it's like my parents came from Mexico. They didn't have a lot to offer us or a lot of opportunities. So it's just really, really important to me. I think that's why I always go above and beyond for clients.
What advice would you give for other people, business owners that are looking to leverage social media and studio content to grow their business and brand?
Well, funny enough, a lot of agents, I'll sometimes invite agents to film with us here. Yeah. And they always ask me oh, how much do you pay for the studio? And I'm like, well, we get 6 hours for $199. And they're like, wow, that's so good. And I'm like, yeah. So use it, right.
I think the problem is and that's what I'm seeing with the studio is that they get the studio, but then they don't know what to do from there.
They don't know how to edit it.
Yeah. So that's something that we're going to try to, help with in the future, see if we can get some more tools in here and kind of streamline the process. But that's one of the big things.
Yeah. Luckily we do have Kelly, our marketing girl, which she's so good at what she does. But my biggest advice to everyone is like you said earlier, social media is kind of the way of the world now. Like we're so technology based that it's like if you're not leaning into that crowd, you're missing so many people because one video gets 2, 3, 5,000 plus views. So you're reaching such a huge audience doing that, and people get to know you on a personal level rather than, just seeing you on your business card and knowing nothing about you.
Well, and if you're starting in a new industry, or you're just starting out in business in general, you don't have that referral base that a lot of and experienced agents or mortgage lenders have that community already built up, and so this is the way to make that happen initially.
Yeah. So I have some mentees right now too, and I always tell them just not to do it because they get so nitpicky on the videos and they're like, I don't like how I said this, and I'm like, just post it. No one's going to pay attention to whether you said too many times. Like, just post it to just get it out there, and like you'll learn along the way.
And if people are commenting on that just drives the traffic and the analytics, right? You got to have some haters. It's funny. I posted a video on YouTube Short, and person commented. We were going back and forth, and then they ended up deleting their comments because I'm like, I was responding. I'm like, you're making no sense of what you're saying, but whatever. So they ended up deleting their comments. I'm like, yeah, see, naysayers, they can go away.
Yeah, I think it's me and Chris, my mentor, always say like, any comment is a good comment, because we'll have random people just like put like a hate comment or be like, like, you're just trying to get a sale, and we're just like, oh, whatever. It's engagement.
Yeah, we were talking about the high quality photos for listings, and the comment was, we don't care about high quality photos. We want high quality homes. Yeah. And like a high quality photo does not get me to click. And I'm like, okay, I gave him different scenarios, and I said, okay, so if that's not the case, then what makes you click? Right. Because if you have a crappy photo of a home, you're going to be less inclined to look at that home or, go tour it or set up, so you just got to ignore them. But also, we've had other people in the studio that we've produced content for, and, send off the content and they never post it because they don't like how they look, or, they think that they didn't say something the right way. And it's like, just post it.
Yeah, I've had quite a few come in here and film with us, and we'll send them like the fully edited video. And like to this day, they haven't posted any of the videos. And I'm like, just post it.
And some people have, like, some of these people have paid for them too. I'm like, you paid for it and you're still not posting it? Just at least somewhere. Because you got YouTube Shorts, you got Reels, TikTok, so whatever. Yeah, you should be posting everywhere. That's what we're trying to do.
If I have a video I just like absolutely hate, I'll just post it on my story. That way it just disappears.
So you're very business minded now. Has it always been that way, or how were you growing up?
Growing up, I was really quiet. I was really, really shy. I was like a super nerd, especially in high school. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't really talk to anyone. I had a pretty hard upbringing, I would say. Like, I was first generation. I grew up in the foster care system as well, and raised by a single dad. So I do think I got my work ethic a lot from him, because he was always just having to grind from a pretty young age. And then I think once I got older into like high school and early adulthood, I think the trajectory of my life, it should not have gone this way. It was very much like everything was kind of set up for failure almost. So it kind of like, that was my main motivation for getting into business and being who I am now. I think it's just work-wise, but I'm not outgoing at all. Like, I'm really shy. I'm really reserved. Outside of work, I'm like the biggest like wallflower. Like, I'm so shy. I'm really bad at meeting new people.
So do you go to many networking events, things like that? I know you guys have hosted a couple, but.
Yeah, we've hosted a few. I'm actually going to one later today. Oh, wow. Just because some people on the team are going to. But I guess those kind of scenarios, because it's a lot of people who already know each other. Yeah. I kind of clam up a little bit, and I'm not the most like outgoing person.
Yeah. It takes some time. I mean, I didn't used to be like that. Like, growing up, I would say middle school, I was a little bit more open. High school, I actually became super shy, and I hated talking in front of class or like reading in front of class. Oh my gosh, dreaded it. Like English class, when I would go, I like every day I'd just have like a pit in my stomach. It was horrible. But eventually grew out of that. I think honestly one of the big things was taking a speaking class in college. I think that was like the big change for me. Yeah. And then just getting out there and starting to meet new people, and have different conversations. So I think that was a big change.
Yeah, I will say work-wise, we kind of just, me and my family and my siblings didn't really grow up in an environment where we should be making like risky decisions, especially work-wise. Yeah. It was definitely like go to school, get your education, get a 9 to 5, get a safe job, get your benefits, have kids. That's it. Right. And I was kind of a black sheep, and I was like, I'm going to get into sales. Yeah. I'm going to get a job that's all commission.
So were the sales jobs, were those all commission?
Luckily, they had like a base salary. It was pretty small, but the bulk of my income came from sales and commissions. Yeah. And I found, for whatever reason, I was good at it. Yeah. I'm very competitive. Yeah, I feel that. So it works out.
I'm like the only person out of my friend group growing up that either didn't get like a 9 to 5 job or I got my associate's degree, but didn't go to a 4-year and get a degree and get a job. So I feel like kind of an outsider from my friend group. I've had to, I've got like people that are older and younger, my age, that just working in business. And it's just funny, like meeting new friends, like, Glenn, who's in his 40s, and he's one of my good buddies. Like, you just meet new people in business. So,
yeah, it's kind of crazy, the age range of people that you meet. Like, I'm 28. Yeah. And it's always the weirdest thing to me when I meet new people and they're like, what do you do? And I'm like, oh, I'm a business owner. Yeah. I'm like,
yeah. I know. Yeah, I felt weird like saying that when I started, because when was that? So I started basically 19, 20, started this business. And it felt weird saying that at the beginning. And then, people always thought I was older. They're like, what? You're 21? I'm like, yeah, I mean, I consider myself a business owner, but not quite to that level yet, Yeah. Give me a few years.
Yeah, I think I'm just barely starting to come to terms with all of this. Yeah. And I'm like, yes, I am a business owner.
Yeah. So how do you, like, now, are you utilizing, like, for a big thing for us is like utilizing new tools and virtual assistants now for our business to help grow and get some of our time back. Like, that was the biggest struggle the last few years, is like, we're growing, but I don't have the extra time to keep up with what we're doing, right? And so, I'm working long days, long nights, getting burnt out. And I feel like this year has been very pivotal for us. So has there anything that you've used, any tools or things that you're doing to kind of do that in your life?
Yeah. I mean, if anything, I feel like I should work a little bit harder at trying to automate some systems. Yeah. Like, I've heard of the virtual assistants. I've heard of, more automated systems, which I do need to tap into more. Right now I have an assistant, which at a certain point in the business, my mentor was like, you need to get an assistant. It's going to relieve a lot of workload off of you so you could go get more business. Yeah. So that has helped a lot. So when I meet other loan officers and stuff and I see them doing well, I'm like, you need to get an assistant. Like, it's going to make your job so much easier.
I always thought for a couple of years, I was always like, I don't know. I don't think I need it, or they can't do the job the same way that I can do it. Right. But, you have to get to that point where you start handing some of that stuff over. You got to get over that hump. And, it might take some time for us, for video editing. It took some time to, find a team that could maintain quality standard that we've kind of built up over the last few years. And so, it took some time and some trial and error and back and forth, but we've kind of got to that point where we're confident and, we can keep up with our workload, but then also, give clients that expectation that they've had. So, it takes time. But the more that you can start handing that stuff off, it's going to be the biggest thing in business, 100%. Yeah.
Well, and nowadays this is what I'm doing right now. you can literally find people on Upwork, and they don't like, a lot of people find people in like the Philippines and stuff like that, but you can find people in the United States who are just freelance workers, and you can pay them on like a per job basis, which is super awesome. And just relieve like some of the workload. I'm reading a book right now called Buy Back Your Time. And the like biggest thing that stuck with me, because I'm such a perfectionist, is if someone could do 80% of the job that you do, that is more than enough. And you just kind of, I have a hard time like not being super, super involved.
Yeah, being the person that's handling everything. Yes.
Or like the lazy CEO goes into that too. So
well, there's going to be, you know, especially in the art industry, there's ups and down periods, right? So it's like, you know, during the busy season to have that is vital, but then, you know, slower season, okay, if they're still handling some of that work, then what can I do to help grow the business? Like what's another thing that I can, you know, doing a podcast or hosting a community event or other things that are outside of, you know, okay, like, yes, I could handle what my VA or assistant's handling, but let's just let them do it and let me focus on, you know, another aspect to grow the business.
Yeah. And the way I look at it is if I do all of that, I'll be working till 9, 10 o'clock at night.
Right.
So like, I can't do that. I need some sleep at some point.
So what does your typical schedule look like right now?
So I go into the office pretty much every day. I don't have to, but I am just not really like a work from home kind of person. I get super sidetracked. So we go into the office. I'm there by 9 o'clock. We have a morning meeting at 9. I do some training or touch base with my assistant to go over new files that came in, things of that sort. I'll work on things, connect with my agents, go to meetings. Like today, I have a ton of meetings. And then I try to be home by at least 4:30 or 5. Before, though, when I started, I would be at the office till like 8. Yeah. Or be home and still working till like 8 or 9, answering phone calls and stuff. Yeah. So, yeah.
It can be a lot. For us, it changes all the time. Some of our shoot, you know, some days I won't have anything until the afternoon. And then yesterday was a long day, but I had a twilight shoot. Thankfully, twilight's a little bit earlier now, but you know, there's a lot of times we have to get the files sent off the next day. So for listings, if an agent's booking a property and they need to get it listed the next day, we're sending photos off the next day. So if we have a twilight shoot, we got to get it uploaded. So I'm coming back to the office, sometimes not leaving until 10, 11 at night, depending on how much work we got to do. But yeah.
Ideally, I would, you know, try to keep it within those constraints. But like today, for example, leaving here, having a meeting with an agent, have a meeting with a client, I have a networking event to go to. Yeah. So I won't be home today until like 8:30 or 9. Okay. Yeah. And then this past weekend I worked. I'll help real estate agents on the weekend with their open houses, or some clients just they work all week, so they can only meet me on Saturday or Sunday. So I'll go to the office, meet with them. So it's always just, you never know. Yeah.
Do you go to a lot of open houses to try to get business that way and build relationship with these agents?
When I started, I would go to a ton. When I started, I did a challenge. It's a 100 by 100 challenge. So you have to meet 100 real estate agents in 100 days. So every weekend I would schedule 10 open houses to go visit. And I would map it out, get my route together in the morning, pick up my coffee, and I would go. Yeah. I would give them my card, introduce myself, and then that following Monday, I would call all of them. Oh my gosh. Until I hit like 100. Yeah. So that's how I started. Now it's more so just maintaining the relationship. So I'll host them with my agents.
How was that in the beginning? Did you seem to get some business through that? Or at least build up some connections that have turned into business in the future?
Some of the agents would literally tell me to like fuck off.
Really? Wait, when you would call them? Or
when I would call them. Or when I would go to the open house too.
Even in person?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Agents can be some stinkers. Oh my gosh. Especially being new. I would never tell anyone that I was new, because as soon as they smell that you're new, they're like,
they're going to eat you. Yeah.
They eat you alive. Yeah. But so the idea was from those 100, maybe you keep like 15 to 20 good ones that you keep in contact with. And it worked. From that 100 by 100, I think I still have maybe like 10 or 15 that I still keep in contact with. Awesome. Yeah.
That's so interesting. I wonder why is that? Why is it because they're already working with someone, or they just they get a million people that are trying to work with them, and so they just like nope.
I would think so.
Yeah.
I would think so.
Yeah.
I think they almost look at loan officers like solicitors, and there's this stigma that loan officers just ask for your business and don't want to help you with anything.
Yeah.
I try not to do that. I try to like, come do videos. I'll help you with this. I'll help you with that. Let's plan an event.
Provide some value.
Yeah, I always try to provide value, but especially if they're already working with someone, they'll tell you pretty openly. Like,
Yeah, I mean, it does. Yeah, it's not hard to just be nice and tell someone that, but there's a lot of crazies in the industry.
oh yeah. We used to have this like folder. It was during COVID time, so I had this idea to make this red folder that was like realtor emergency kit, and it had a red cross on it. And we would take it to all the open houses. And I remember giving it to one agent. It was a guy, and he just looked at it and he like tossed it, and he was like, "That's cute."
So being on the Visionary Mindset podcast, we like to ask people what would describe them the most. So some of the traits that describe a visionary are, optimism, being creative, risk taker, resilience. What one or two of those traits would describe you most, and why?
I would say number one would definitely be like resilience, just because I feel like in the industry and just in life in general, you take a lot of punches and you just have to keep going. So that's one of the number one things I tell anyone who's a business owner, anyone that I work with, that you just have to keep going every single day. Like, without resilience, not that you're not going to do well, but like, it's so, so important to just keep going and push yourself and have that self-motivation. And but in a good way, I would say I'm a risk taker. Like I was hinting to earlier, I was always kind of like the black sheep of my family. So I would just take risks and do these things. But I would say without taking risks in life, you really don't know what you're going to get. And sometimes you'll fall on your face. Most times, Again, resilience, So I'm a huge risk taker in a good way, and very resilient for the most part.
That's awesome. So for the end of this year, going into next year, what are your goals for personal wise and for your business?
Personal wise, definitely buy a house. So like I said, I'm going to start my journey in January, hopefully, and I'll be a first-time home buyer myself. So I want to document that whole journey and grow my business more. So I have an assistant under me right now. I have a loan officer under me as well. And I'm actually I have my real estate license and my mortgage license. I am going to start studying for my broker's license.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so my BRE, I'm not ready yet to leave where I'm at now, but hopefully in the future, that's something I could work towards.
Yeah, start your own team.
Yeah, we're slowly getting there, but I love the CK team. It's going to turn to the, Loans with Letty team. Yeah.
So where can people find you online?
So they can follow me on social media. I have Instagram, Facebook, Loans with Letty, online, www.loanswithletty.com, or you can always contact me via email. My phone number is 916-385-9403.
Thanks for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having me. This was fun.